Good morning. My name is M. Indigo Washington. I'm the Legislative Director slash Community Liaison for the Office of Councilmember Inez Barron. We're here today to celebrate and declare a victory for East Harlem and our entire community. We stand united as community leaders, advocates, historians, and elected officials to call for reforms of the city's Percent for Art program, which operates under the Department of Cultural Affairs and the current Commissioner, Tom Finkelford, and to ensure the artist, Vinnie Bagwell, who was selected to design the artwork that will replace the Sims statue in East Harlem, located at 103rd Street in Central Park, will receive the necessary funding that was allocated, and that our voice and ideas will be welcomed, and that no surprises will arise as we experienced this past Saturday during the selection process. We call on the commissioner to ensure that her statue will be completed by 2021, the deadline that was in fact set by DCLA. Allow us to take a moment to offer a little bit of context. Community leaders and elected officials, some of whom you'll hear from shortly, engaged in a legal battle to have the J. Marion Sims statue removed. His presence in a predominantly Black and Latino community was problematic and insulting. Mayor de Blasio formed a commission, and this commission was recommended that this statue be removed. The process to find a replacement ensued. While a committee was formed, the Committee to Empower Voices for Health and Equity served as a bridge between parks, DCLA, and the community. Their abilities, however, were limited as there was no budget to assist with outreach. Community members and community residents also questioned the process as it relates to what impact their voices were in this process, particularly when they completed surveys online and responded to the images of the final artists. Our community needs to be respected, and we know that it's time for the healing to begin. We call on the City Council to have an oversight hearing on the Percent for Art process. As the city seeks to erect other monuments and artwork throughout our neighborhoods, the current process is broken and it needs to be reformed. So I'd like to call on Nilsa, who will offer remarks from Councilmember Diana Ayala's office, and then from her position as chair of Community Board 11.
Thank you, Indigo. Good afternoon, all. These comments are from Councilwoman Diana Ayala. Good afternoon, all. I am not Councilwoman Diana Ayala, representative of East Harlem El Barrio. Thank you all for joining us today as we reflect on the artist selection process and call on DCLA to bring further reform to Percent for Art. First and foremost, I want to extend great thanks to Councilmember Inez Barron and her husband, former council member and now Assembly member Charles Barron. They consistently work to raise awareness about J. Marion Sims' heinous actions and catalyze the movement to have the statue removed. I also want to thank the Beyond Sims Committee, but especially Marina Ortiz of East Harlem Preservation, Indigo Washington of Councilmember Barron's office, and Nilsa Rama of Community Board 11 for their fierce advocacy on behalf of East Harlem. They have all worked tirelessly to bring Sims' statue down and to get us to the moment we are at today, in which there's a tangible path forward. I also want to congratulate Vinnie Bagwell, the artist who was selected to design a new monument where Sims' statue once stood. Vinnie's piece, Victory, is overwhelmingly supported by our community, not just because of its elegance, but because of how much it is aligned with our values of resiliency and strength. Her piece beautifully captures the power of Black women and will help our community heal from the presence of a monument representative of racism, sexism, and misogyny. Unfortunately, as you've heard today, our community's voices were initially ignored by the panel that was convened to recommend an artist. While Percent for Art is a vital initiative that helps uplift public art, Saturday's event was a clear example as to why the program must be improved. Both panelists and communities deserve to be better informed about this process in order to avoid another scenario resulting in people feeling betrayed, tricked, and undermined. As other statues and monuments across the city are being considered through this process, it is my hope that DCLA will reflect on what occurred in East Harlem on Saturday and use these lessons to improve this critical effort. Communities deserve to be equal partners at every stage of the consent for art process, which is why I wholeheartedly stand with the Beyond Sims Committee in their demands. As Vinnie approaches the next steps in bringing her artwork to fruition, DCLA must ensure she has all the necessary resources and that community involvement continues. East Harlem welcomes her and thanks her for her commitment to work side alongside us. Thank you. Now, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nusa Rama, and I'm the chair of Manhattan Community Ward 11. On my left is Xavier Santiago, the vice chair. We're very thankful to be here, to all of you being here as well. Today, I'm speaking as a lifelong resident of East Harlem. After almost a decade of effort through activism where community voices were heard, we are at a stage where a space that formerly housed Jane Marion Sims will be transformed to reflect a different vision. We are here because of the hard work of the committee to remove the Jane Marion Sims statue, the vote to remove the Jane Marion Sims statue by the New York City Design Commission, and the continued work of the committee to empower voices for health and equity, which assured that the community could participate in the reimagining of the space on 103rd Street and Fifth Avenue. I want to thank DCLA for awarding this commission to Vinnie Bagwell Victory and retracing their decision. I want to thank Councilwoman Diana Ayala for her community support for this project. This is a true victory for the community and all those who participate in this process. We would not be here today without community attendance and your voices in support of this statue on October 5th. The work continues. As a community resident and chair of CB11, I look forward to continue to work with all stakeholders to offer support and to help ensure that the vision of the space, as laid out by Vinnie Bagwell in her victory presentation, embraced by the community, is brought to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson. Next, we'll have Marina Ortiz, who will offer some comments from the East Harlem Preservation.
I'm just going to say a few words in Spanish and then I'll read in English. Estoy aquí muy agradecida y honrada de estar aquí con esta victoria que hemos tenido para la comunidad. Estoy bien alegre de estar aquí para anunciar y celebrar la victoria de la comunidad del barrio East Harlem, Nueva York. Esto ha sido para mí una lucha personal, también política y cultural, pero también personal, porque sobre todo las mujeres puertorriqueñas que le han experimentado en Puerto Rico y aquí en los Estados Unidos, incluyendo la familia mía, aquí logramos una lucha para hacer una visión diferente. So I was saying that Marina Ortiz from East Harlem Preservation, I'm so proud and thrilled to be here to celebrate this victory with you. We fought for 10 years to have a new vision, and this has been a personal battle for me, a personal journey, because like many Puerto Rican women, my family was also experimented on without awareness. So this is, it's deep, okay? So it's Black and Latinos, and I am just so thrilled to follow the lead of everyone that's helped to make this possible. We also want to push the city to complete not just this statue, but also others that they promised to the community in exchange for a giveaway of land, the Pinto Puente statue. Where is it 10 years later? So I'm here to celebrate and thank Vinnie for her beautiful vision. I look so forward to working with her and to making sure that this project is fulfilled. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. So next, we're going to hear from Todd Pine. He's the president of the Washington Street Advocacy Group.
I'd like to join in support of my friends and colleagues here who are pleased at the result and are excited to see the Vinnie Bagwell victory statue. It would be a true victory for East Harlem, for the city when that is installed. And I would like to also emphasize that historical monuments are about telling a story and about involving communities. And it is critical that when these monuments are done, and we have so many coming up around the city, that we don't have the same problems that happened on Saturday. These problems have occurred in other communities, but the Department of Cultural Affairs came to a special community when they came to East Harlem, who called them out on some difficulties that I hope can now be addressed. We need community involvement, and we need to make sure that these monuments educate our children and tell stories that our community want to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Valerie Jo Bradley, from the president of Save Harlem Now.
Good afternoon. Save Harlem Now is pleased to be here to celebrate the victory of Vinnie Bagwell being chosen to represent the community with regard to replacing the J. Marion Sims statue. It's very important in terms of preservation that we also pay attention to the monuments and the statues that we have around the city. And as you know, many of the monuments and statues don't represent us now. This is an opportunity for us to have a real victory. And I'm pleased to be a part of that victory that says, that tells a story about us as African American and Latino women, and all women who have been marginalized and brutalized in this country for the sake of profit. This statue will tell our story and tell our children our story and tell future generations the stories. And this is so important. That's why I urge the Department of Cultural Affairs to make certain that the project as we envision it happens, that it happens on time, that the money that we need for it, that has been allocated for it, is spent on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. So just wanted to say in closing, it's important for us to recognize the elected officials who are not present. So we do know that this effort has been supported by Councilmember Helen Rosenthal. The statue sits in her district, as well as a representative from Manhattan Borough President Garrett Brewer's office. So we feel that it's very important to continue to send a message to the commissioner that we matter, the community voices matter. And moving forward, we hope that you will be respectful of that, and that we will not have a repeat of what we've seen too often happening around monuments being placed in the community. And more importantly, it's important for us as a community, as representatives here, as community leaders particularly, to realize that our voice matters. The change and the reversal of Simone Lee as the identified artist to Vinnie Bagwell is a testament that when you as a community stick together, the voice heard and our voice matters. So it's important for us to continue to do that. And we thank you.